sponsored by a dozen game publishers and went around the UK in a decked-out multiplayer PlayStation bus ready to play with the public. They went busking with a portable PS2, an amp and a Guitar Hero controller to play the game on the street. The magazines featured multiple developer interviews, small reviews of websites, net sites. There were screenshots of nerdy movies coming out like these never-before-seen snaps on the set of Phantom Menace back in 1998. They did E3 coverage, and even retrospectives on multiple franchises like this beautiful 16-page spread on the history of Tekken games. Sorry, Ken Tech, with a rivalry and family tree included. Also, were you a little bit stuck on Spyro 1 when trying to find all of the dragons? Well, luckily for you, there's 6 pages in issue 41 that walks you through the locations of all of them. And many other walkthroughs of this style would be featured in other issues. Not complete 100% ones, but just enough to give you a helping hand in case you were really stuck.
It's a really useful magazine.
There was one time where the magazine got pictures of some employees of Capcom dressed up as zombies with minced beef hanging out of their stomachs, scaring everybody queuing up for the midnight release of Resident Evil 2. And another time where a lady called Melissa thought that if there was a movie about Crash Bandicoot, Brad Pitt should play Crash Bandicoot. The UK PlayStation magazine was packed with so much charm, character, third-party franchises and exclusive article segments that came back month after month that it was enough to convert Nintendo fans stuck with mostly the same franchises. Hell, it could even convert the biggest diehard Sonic fan. I must go quickly! You even got to find out things about your friends that you had no idea about, like in issue 50 of the PS2 magazine, where my mate Ben here, as in the guy who animates Asduff movie Ben, managed to play the original Killzone before anyone else in the UK, and he was featured in the magazine because of that. And while eating dinner with the magazine editors and all the other members of his group were talking about Killzone, you know, the brand new game that they just played that hadn't come out yet, he decided to say, "Ben doesn't like spicy food." Dude, what is wrong with you?
This is good!
The official UK PlayStation magazine was just classic. In fact, you could say it was the Badgers Nadgers. It was the 90s. Something else I really like is the A to Z section, which would compile extremely brief reviews of most of the PS1 and PS2 bestsellers at the time. And as each issue came out, they wouldn't only just copy and paste the reviews for following issues, they would often update their scores and their review sentences based on how well certain games have aged and how much lifespan they got out of the games after being able to play them a little longer than on the week the game originally came out. They did this in the Platinum section as well, when PS1 games would sell over 400,000 copies in its first year. They would re-review those games that just became Platinum, or as you Americans call them, greatest ugly disgusting hits. Re-reviews like this you don't tend to see that often on review sites nowadays, and it's nice to see it in a monthly review column here. I also love to keep these things and read them back for the really old game reviews. Some of them are pretty damn accurate and well argued for the time, and others make absolutely no sense to me at all. This is by far the best tennis game available. 6 out of 10. C4D versus Rascal. Oh, that's a difficult one. What a close pairing. Anyone could win that. I really don't know. Final Fantasy VII, 10 out of 10. A Japanese RPG? You're joking. Why is that so hard to believe? Crash Bandicoot 2's soundtrack, 5 out of 10. Usual plinky plonky music. Are you mental, magazine? Usual plinky plonky music, my crack. Did you know that Tekken is the best PlayStation fighting game around? But Tekken 2 is rated higher? Did you know that In the Hunt was dated in 1996? This is dated? Seriously? By the way, Battle Arena Toshinden is handsome. Yeah, this is handsome, didn't you know? Apparently, Ultimate Parodius Deluxe is predictable. Yes, Parodius is predictable. Did you nincompoops rate Cheesy 7 out of 10? You rated this game 7 out of 10. What about Enter the Matrix in the PS2 magazine? It was given an 8 out of 10.
Are you insane?
Do you know what my favorite survival horror is? Devil May Cry. The official UK PlayStation magazine was also unbelievably successful back in the day, not only going on to becoming the best-selling PlayStation magazine in the UK even throughout the PS2, PS3 and PS4 end of the magazine, but for a few months it was the best-selling video game magazine in the world, reaching record-breaking heights in February 1999 when issue 42, featuring a Metal Gear Solid review and hour-long demo, sold over 450,000 copies in that single month. Goddamn, Roy, what did you do?
I have no idea.
And that success still carries on to this day. It's nowhere near as popular as it once was, what with the internet and everything, but the magazine is still going strong. In fact, I love reading these things so much that I started collecting every single issue of the magazine from August 2011 to this very day. 113 issues I have so far. I have nearly 10 years worth of this crap, and this is why my postman loves me.
Ah, yes! If you buy one more of these, I swear to God! Wait a second. What's this here?
It's an old leaflet left behind from the early 2000s, but what is it? Thanks, Gunship Battle Total Warfare, the smartphone game that definitely existed in 2003 and was advertised in this magazine. I'm sure you have all noticed recently that my videos are the longest and most intricate they have ever been in my channel's 8-year history. And it's sponsorships like this that allow me to do these ridiculous videos about any topic you want to see without me having to worry about the pitchfork of YouTube algorithms.
And pitchforks are definitely not what you'll be using while battling on land, air and sea with Gunship Battle, who are indeed the sponsors of today's video, if you couldn't work that out.
This is a fierce, real-time tactical war management game that allows you to control the battlefield with anything from airstrikes to rallying and scouting, while producing your own Army Green, Navy Blue, and Air Force Yellow. It's a game built on historical background with weapons and units inspired by battles of the past, combined with high-quality graphics to make it all feel as realistic as possible. In fact, it's so real you'll swear that you're getting hurt. You can even form a front line with players from around the world and enjoy endless strategic battling by connecting to the internet.
Which, funnily enough, you can also use right now to go to the link in the description and download the game for free. What have you got to lose, your money? Well, I just said it was free. Pay attention.
Another reason I love going back to these magazines are for the concept screenshots, along with ancient and totally wrong game and console information. Most of them were rumors, to be fair, but they're still so funny to me. This is why I still collect the magazines today, for when they eventually become outdated, so I can look back and laugh at them. And it reminds me of a simpler time when we needed to know if a game would be memory card compatible to save the game. Wait a second. Why are all the colours of the Tombi screenshots completely inverted? Oh hey, it's my favourite character from Crash Bandicoot! Bonus Bob! Oh look, it's the best character from Metal Gear Solid, President At! Wow, it's Cheep Cheep the cooking chicken from Parappa the Rapper. Looking a lot like a frog. Oh my lord, this is just painful. Brave Fencer Musashi never released in the UK. Why must you tease me with this magazine? Remember when Resident Evil 2 looked completely different and had Elza Walker as a playable character? Remember when the Crash 2 box art was going to look like this? Remember when everyone thought that the PS2 would end up looking like that? Or that. Remember the release of the Pocket Station, when everyone thought that Tekken 3 would be on a cartridge for a new add-on to the PS1, or when Thrill Kill was still on its way to be released before being banned at the last minute? How about when everyone thought Crash would use a real grenade launcher in Crash 3? Or when Star Wars Episode 1 Racer was gonna come out on the PS1, but then ended up on the Nintendo 64? Well, that's clearly a screenshot from The Evil Dead. That is not Resident Evil. Resident Evil Dead. Beautiful water effects, eh? Oh yeah, sure. It looks just like that time I got my cling film stuck in the drawer. Hey, Cortex. You feeling okay, buddy? Ah, yes, I remembered that bit in Klonoa. You know, when he ran around with a gun? Did you know that in Tomb Raider 3, there'll be new pests to fight, like dinosaurs? Because they weren't in the previous games. I wonder how long it will take for me to beat Medieval. Oh great, 40 hours, good to know. And I'm guessing that's including the 32 hours where you stand still and don't do anything? What exactly do we do in Crash Bandicoot 1 then? Oh yeah, we run along and collect the apples.
Actually, no, I take it back. No, I don't like doing this. It's not fun, though, because I feel like I spent my entire life telling people that Crash Bandicoot doesn't collect apples, because it doesn't even look like an apple, it looks more like a banker. It collects Wumpa fruit. Why do people get this wrong? It's a rookie error. Why are we doing that? He don't collect apples, it's Wumpa fruit. Why are people allowed to make this magazine?
PS2 magazine has a lot of this stuff too. You know, back in the days of 32-inch HD ready TVs costing you £1,400 or £2,000 adjusted for inflation. Remember when Shadow of the Colossus was Eco 2? Or when LA Noire looked completely different and was going to be a PS3 exclusive? Remember when Ape Escape 4 was rumored to come out on PS3 from these leaked screenshots? Check out this old concept image for the PSP with an iPod touch wheel and no analog stick. And who can forget the pure majesty of the original DualShock 3? It's so so banana. I mean, it's so beautiful. Oh, wow, look at this. They even gave that Mega 64 Katamari video a shout out before YouTube was even a thing. That just doesn't feel right. Oh my good God. For a second, I thought that said something else.
Gotta be honest though, even though this was the gaming magazine that was in my household when I was really, really young, I don't have that many real memories reading it. I just have flashes here and there of opening the pages and looking at the pictures. In fact, I had to rebuy every issue of the PS1 magazine for this video. Ignore the cover. It was the 90s, this was cool. The magazine that I grew up with, and what I get properly nostalgic for, is in fact, the PS2 magazine. And you're probably looking at the title of this video right now and thinking, oh, well, you spent this whole video so far saying that the PlayStation magazine was perfect, and if it's still doing so well today, then why on earth are you saying it's weird? What are you, high?
Well, one of the reasons are the ads in these things. Some of them end up being really strange. Is that a fart machine for only $12.99? But the really weird ones I'll save for later. For now, I just want to go back to my childhood and enjoy it for a bit. I mean, this was a time where tiny widescreen TVs were so expensive that you'd have to win them in a competition for even a chance to own one. And when Bubsy 3D costed more money than Doom. Also, everybody drank Sprite apparently. Sprite. What's wrong with everyone? Dude, does anyone in the UK remember Sunny D in the mid-90s before it was taken off the shelves and redone because it was too much like maple syrup? Oh, look at all of this retro merch! I remember catalogs of clothes for this expensive Lara Croft brand, but I don't remember these 10 shoe pajamas. Very cool though. Look at these Final Fantasy figures. Oh my giddy Aunt Fanny, this brings back memories. I had this old school first edition Lego Naboo Starfighter. And these Crash Bandicoot toys, I nearly had the entire set of these back in the late 90s. And since then, I've basically lost all of them, aside from this singular Aku Aku prop that sticks to Crash's nose. I'm really sad I don't have these anymore, and you can only get them on eBay nowadays. Problem is, they cost more than my first car. Can you believe that Eminem got arrested for video game piracy? Wait a second, is that a Metal Gear Solid pen? Oh, and a Metal Gear Solid hip flask that you can keep in your croc backpack? Oh boy, all of these magazines I got online still have the forms to subscribe to it.
Hang on a sec, I'm gonna get my debit card.
I get to pick a free game for subscribing? Awesome! Can I have a copy of Crash Bandicoot 2 with a Crash 1 front cover that's zoomed in too far to the left corner? Now to put my details in. Title, King, initials, D, surname, DD. King DDD. Address? I'm not doxing myself. Choice of free game? Cash Banuka 2, Gringotts Steakhouse. Mr. Tiger Woods invites you to take your best shot. When? Anytime. Where? Any place. Is that what he said to his mistress? Give golf balls goosebumps. Is that what happened when he was caught with his mistress? Well, here's a dreadful guitar ad for you. There you are, guitar in hand, actually playing like Noel Gallagher. You know, the best guitar player in the world. Make it a total reality. Be the envy of your mates and the idol of all the girls. Yes. Like this guy. The guitar is easy to learn, won't break the bank, and beats the hell out of boring computer games. Get a life. Get a guitar. You know, that's the best way to advertise to people buying a video game magazine. Tell them they have no life. You know, just like those nerds that play board games. Why not insult them while you're at it? They say an army marches on its stomach. This one does it on its ass. Do you want to buy Spyro the Dragon with a free memory card? Or Toka 2 touring cars with a free small toy car? Logic 3 control station pad, 8 fire buttons with auto fire, ASCII joypad, easy to hold and ergonomically designed pad, England controller. This is really cool. The best picture I found though, this massive 2-page spread ad of Destruction Derby 2. And for some reason, a tiny Paul from Tekken hanging out on the right. Hello! These ads could be pretty creative too, even if they were just still images being printed on a page. Like here, there's an ad for Driver that opens up from the front cover. That's a very small detail, but you will remember the game because of it. And on the front cover of this magazine, Crash allows you to dissect him in order to surgically remove Duke Nukem. Ah yes, the classic tale of the three kings searching for Bethlehem to pay respects to baby Jesus. By following the star of the DualShock. My favourite kinds of ads though are the ones that go on for multiple pages and almost tell a story, like with this Heart of Darkness ad here. Little Johnny was enjoying the sedate pace of his new lift to school when... BLAM! He's dead now! Hang on a sec, is that a power glove For the PS1. Why didn't I know about this? I need one for a video post-haste. Actually, no, I take that back. I want to do a video on the G-Con bazooka. How in the mother of Christ does that thing work? How about the drink can clasp for your controller? Actually, no, screw the glove. I want the PlayStation controller that's a shoe. Yes, this is a real thing. You try playing a game while pressing buttons with your toes. It may be agonizing, but at least Tarantino will hire you for his next movie. Just dunk it. We put the S in action. What? Saction?
Yeah, like I said, these ads did have the potential to be pretty strange. But don't worry, it only gets more disturbing and disgusting from here.
Ooh, just what I always wanted. A full spread, high quality shot of the faces in Spice World. This is okey doke click stinky poke stick. Do you know the best way to advertise a new golf game? Use a bleeding dead rat. Ah, just what I wanted in my PlayStation magazine. An adrenal gland. What were they thinking? Come on, kids, buy our new game. It's got a man in a broken submarine that's trapping him with broken glass and he's drowning. And you look me in the eye and explain what's going on with this page. I thought this was an ad for a video game, not an excuse to call a therapist.
And the weird world of PlayStation magazines doesn't stop there. There wasn't just the questionable ads, but the magazine itself had a seedy and sticky underbelly.
You see, when the UK PS2 magazine properly kicked off, a lot of the writers and editors for this thing started trying to appeal to lads. Don't know what a lad is? Good. Alright, fine, I'm being a really unfair judge of character here. I'm sure that everyone involved in the publishing of this magazine throughout the years were top people, but there's a reason why there's an entire paragraph in the magazine's Wikipedia page dedicated to how the focus of the magazine went from video games to bare breeds. In the early 2000s, with the PS2's launch and sales figures being more intense than anyone could have predicted, more general audiences than ever were picking up a video game console for the first time. And not just for the built-in DVD player, but because it was the trendy thing to do in Britain. Everybody and their nan had a PS2 back then.
Granny, I wanna go.
However, official PlayStation magazine sales were dwindling, especially when compared to the staggering 500,000 copy heights it reached in 1999, because so much of the PS2's general consumer base only wanted a DVD player with family-friendly party games, or were young adults who wanted to play a singular game that everyone else was playing, like GTA Vice City. Think of it like how most people only got an Xbox for Halo. This meant the magazine had a big problem. They needed to appeal to a wider audience to let people know the PS2 had more to offer them, and so for the early 2000s, a massive chunk of the general UK gaming population at the time, boys will be boys types, you know, lads, were the next big market to attract to the magazine, which it had already done okay before in the PS1 magazines, with plenty of football game coverage and with the fact that gaming was still pretty male heavy at the time, but it was still seen as a pretty uncool hobby for anyone over the age of 18 with oi kinds of friends. So it only made sense to try and make the magazine more appealing to them. But this also meant that the quality of the magazine and the tastefulness of the magazine dropped so heavily that yes, it got its own mention on Wikipedia. This here was a best-selling phone wallpaper for the PS2 magazine back in 2004. Chav and proud. That gives you the best idea how downhill things went.
And can I just say, for as awful as the magazine would end up becoming, I still can't help but love it. I mean, I'm a cringe connoisseur, and the stuff that happens in this magazine is so cringy I practically turn inside out.
The earliest issues of the magazine when the PS1 was still active were, as you'd expect, trying to appeal to new adopters of the idea of a CD-based video game console, or, well, video games in general. It's genuinely well-written stuff and very entertaining, even if you have no clue what a rock-solid hard was. And even better, if you were already into gaming or already into PlayStation, there was an undeniable passion and wit behind the text and interviews that only you would be able to appreciate. Like with this interview with the original Grand Theft Auto developers. Why should anyone care about your game? Peer pressure and Satan. That's incredible. These issues do have the occasional outdated comment or remark that would get the manly men to have a giggle, such as here where a fan writes in addressing a comment that the editor made in the previous issue, saying that 96% of their readers were men. He makes this really awful long-winded joke about how he's so offended because he's definitely 100% a man, but they've now told him there's a 4% chance that he's not a man, which means there's a 4% chance of him being remotely female, and that means that 4% is thinking about doing the washing up and the ironing. Oh my god, this is too hard to read, I'm sorry. Oh look guys, you ever been in that situation when all you want to do is play your viddigums, but those women keep getting in the way? Bloody women! They don't play the station, they don't eat pizzas, look at them not understanding anything, am I right boys?
And then, this lady called Wendy jinxed it in December 1997. At least you don't have to resort to printing topless pictures of Lara Croft like some magazines. Well, 70 pages later.
Lara exposed. Watch out, everyone. We're scanning her top. They're coming out. What's that? Too extreme? Not for her, it isn't. Buy one, get two free. Check this out. In this letter, a guy complains to the magazine about his wife, who he calls her indoors. Her indoors! If she's that much of a burden, why are you complaining to a video game magazine? Call a lawyer! There's another letter here where some overly angry reader takes it upon himself to mention how his wife's copy of the Cosmopolitan had a nakey in it.
I mean, he doesn't mention the context of those pictures or what they were saying in the magazine about them, but shh, it's a secret.
And because of that, that means that people complaining about sexism in the game industry in the mid to late 90s are invalid, and no one is allowed to criticize the magazine's occasional tasteless jokes because they're wishy-washy leftists. Okay, calm down, man.
And you know what? I don't care what gets shown in magazines or what jokes you make inside them. People can look at whatever they like and do whatever they want with what they see, as long as no one's getting hurt or harassed. Whatever floats your boat, I don't care. Same with making jokes. A joke is indeed a joke, as long as it's not mindless and pointless hatred. Go on, have a laugh. But with both of these examples, context is everything. Did I purchase this magazine to stare at some models and then have a go at my wife behind her back? No, I want PlayStation games. And if a bad or tasteless joke is in here, then it's still a bad and tasteless joke, whatever it's about. And if your joke is so bad and so blunt that it doesn't come across as a silly innuendo, but instead a statement, then yeah, I'm not surprised that multiple people complained.
And I agree with the reply made by the editor here. They go along with the opinion that anyone should legally be allowed to see pictures of adults that they want to if they're looking for them, but this argument is redundant because this is a PlayStation magazine about video games. A perfect answer as far as I'm concerned, especially since they also admit with characters like Lara Croft that they do unavoidably show off some assets every so often, but it's never the entire point of the magazine, and any passing comment about anything like that is literally just a funny one-off passing comment about how blatant the designs of some of the games and their characters were. But other than that, it's a PlayStation magazine, not the Cosmopolitan. What more do you want? You want something a bit more blatant? Then I suggest you pick up the latest issue of Girls and Corpses magazine. I hear that Gwyneth Paltrow's toxic shit is really ripe this season.
By the way, I'd like you to do something for me. Just take the editor's response to that question. Very nice. And just stash it. There. Lovely. Stick it behind your ear or something, and save it for later, because you're gonna need it.
Okay, so yeah, when the magazine was all about the PS1, it's a bit dated and awkward. I mean, god, Lara's chest isn't even that big in the games that she stars in, so explain that one.
No.
But it's still rather tame, all things considered. Like I said, it's as you'd expect. It's mostly PlayStation goodness from beginning to end, with a few laughs along the way. And a high-resolution, ultra-detailed, full-page image of a Mudokan with his eyes stitched shut. This is completely fine, I'm okay with this. Once the PS2 division of the magazine launched, it all felt relatively similar to the PS1 days in terms of writing, presentation, and game coverage. But a few issues in, sales were starting to dwindle because of that cultural divide on who was buying the PS2 in droves in the first place that I was talking about earlier. Most people didn't care about reviews of multiple types of games, they just wanted to play the same things everyone else was playing and have a DVD player. You know, they wanted to be cool and trendy. So as soon as November 2002's issue 26 hit for the PS2 side of the magazine, that's when it got a bit of a redesign and it started dumbing things down to try and attract even more of what they saw to be their largest target audience with more terrible gags. And then by issue 34, the PS2 magazine was redesigned again and basically became loaded with an extra dash of FHM and Winnie the Pooh's Rumbly Tumbly Adventure.
Remember the magazine editor's reply to that weird letter they got about women apparently not being allowed to complain about nakies in this magazine? Well, I want you to get that comment out right now. Yeah, come on, give it over. Yep, just behind your ear, get it out, yep. There you go, there. Smells fantastic! What does it say? That the argument against more adult content is completely redundant because you're talking to a PlayStation magazine. Well, that philosophy went right out the window after issue 34 of this bloody thing.
They wanted to let more of the UK lad population know that it's okay, they can still buy this magazine, they aren't nerds for liking a PlayStation, and they aren't going to be made fun of by their fragile and insecure little friends, because now we have breeds! There's something strangely sleazy about the PS2 magazine from issue 34 onwards, and yes, nowadays, I'm fully aware you still see plenty of blatant stereotypically attractively designed characters like with Bayonetta, Tekken or Street Fighter characters, But unlike any of them, there's absolutely zero empowerment, self-awareness, or character to most of what is displayed in the magazines. If you don't have any of that, you end up with Ride to Hell Retribution, and everybody loves that. And most real women or video game women featured in the mag at this point were boiled down entirely to creepy, inappropriate, or downright insulting comments that just don't fit with the rest of the magazine. And that's the problem here, not the images themselves. It's like,
hey guys, Wallace and Gromit in Project Zoo is a decent game, and we also think that Klonoa 2 is crap because it has cartoons in it, and cartoons are for nerds.
but if you like the PS2 itself, that's completely fine. It doesn't make you a nerd. I'm really sorry. Please don't hurt us. Look, here's a woman. If you play PS2, she'll get into bed with you because you're cool. PS2 is cool. Not the nerdy games, but PS2 is cool. Here's a man. Did you know that he thinks that Samantha Fox is a minger? He wouldn't even give her one.
Now, I am fully expecting a few people to call me out because I, just for one example, have indeed made jokes about Lara Croft's pizzas in my Tomb Raider video years ago, but like, the point of those jokes was that the designers of the game put a ridiculously polygonal, scantily clad woman in a sub-zero system of caves in a vest and short shorts, and that is ridiculous and worth pointing out and laughing at. I still love Lara Croft, I still love Tomb Raider, but it is silly, hence I joked about it.
This kind of stuff doesn't seem to have any point to any of the jokes. In fact, none of the parts they write even come off like a joke. There's no puns, tongue-in-cheek writing, or anything. Women drivers, eh? I mean, look at this phone wallpaper for sale right here. What's the joke? And why do you feel the need to pay for it and post it as a background on your phone? This isn't exactly a controversial statement. Are you scared that people think you don't like them? Why do you care? Mostly the magazine just ends up turning into a load of pathetic gawking from people who have got a bad case of the horn and drooling over any woman at all, while at the same time insulting any woman at all for how useless they are at games and how they're idiots that have no hand-eye coordination. Yes, they printed that. I want to know if you can explain to me why most females are unable to play video games. I know there are some women out there who can, but the majority of them are useless. They can't seem to work their fingers individually. They refuse to follow simple instructions. By the way, ignore that. If you're a woman that plays games, that's okay, as long as you're even vaguely attractive. All of this is objectifying in its purest form, and it comes across as desperate and creepy in a video game magazine of all things. I won't lie though, I still do love all of it. It's so horrible, I can't help but enjoy it. It's a car crash that I can't look away from.
By the way, I am not for a second condemning anybody that enjoys bodies. That's not my point here. I mean, who doesn't enjoy bodies? Girls enjoy bodies, guys enjoy bodies, crocodiles enjoy bodies. We all enjoy bodies. We all like what we like, and being able to celebrate or support that is great. But under the correct circumstances. You know, time and place, and not being a prick about it.
Here's a woman dancing and looking a little bit silly. But be honest, you fully would though. Men doing the kiss? Ugh, no, it should be illegal. Why are we even talking about that? But women doing the kiss? Ah, yeah, completely different. In fact, let's play a game where we find all of those scenes in every movie and post about how steamy it makes us.
Why can't I make it record Desperate Housewives?
You know what? I don't know, love. Why are you licking component cables? Look, we found a skirt shot with pants in it. We've never seen pants before, so we zoomed it in. This extends to the utter plague of pages dedicated to naughty mobile phone downloads, which never used to be this vulgar. In the beginning, they just allowed you to call up a number and get ringtones or black and white wallpapers for the tiny sum of £4.50 per ringtone. Yes, adjusted for inflation, that's £7.10 for a 10-second snippet of a chart-topping hit. And you already had to cope with your phone looking like that. Well, I suppose it looks better than that. Yeah, in the first few issues of the PS2 magazine, it was totally normal. Celebrity crush wallpapers, terrible Java games like Rayman 3 or Nightmare Creatures, just in case the PS1 version wasn't pixelated enough for you. There was that horrid sweetie chick that sung those repugnant songs. Oh my god, the fast food rockers were #1 in the UK charts in 2003. Why haven't we been nuked yet? But as it went on, it got saucier and saucier, with a nice picture of Andy from Little Britain for good measure. And she will be loved if she has a pole. And then they started putting so many pages full of nothing but hotlines for people that just couldn't help themselves and needed servicing right now. And I mean, having a few phone numbers for variety, I'd understand at least, but most of these are basically exactly the same thing. How much money were these businesses making? As a customer, how do you know which is the best number to call when they're all the same? Jesus, there's just so many of them, and why are some of them so unappealing?
I can take two at once.
Are you animal enough? I'm fully plucked and ready for action. Well, that line didn't sell me, but that picture definitely did. That makes me want to call right now. Instant text chat. Send tarts to... Oh yes, the word tarts gets me right in the mood. Is that why she's licking her shoulder? Did she get some tart crumbs on it? 5 free texts for grown-up gamers. This one here is probably my favorite one though. Dog with strangers. Delightful. Okay, just for a laugh, should we call one of these numbers and see what happens?
That's a great idea, Caddy.
Thank you, I thought so too. Okay, how about, local tarts? Yep, that sounds nice and crusty, doesn't it? Let's give it a go. Okay, I'm about to do it. Let's put the phone number up on the screen so you can see I am indeed trying to ring up my very own local tart. Let's go. Let's see what we can find.
You've dialed an incorrect number. Please check the
No!
number again.
I want a local tart! There was a section of the magazine here where they'd go through old movies and rate them based on how many woman parts there were. Less art and more arse would be more preferable. And these magazines I've had since my childhood must have had some pictures or pages that were too much for my little mind to handle. As you can see, I cut out this image that was on a PSP, I cut out this part of a page on a review for The Hulk, God knows what that picture was, and there's an entire page of this magazine I outright tore out. Look, I didn't even cut it out, I just ripped it out without even thinking. Maybe I knew about Kevin Spacey all along. I don't remember what any of these pictures used to have on them. I think my mind must have blocked them out. But yes, I did manage to have these things in my childhood. You heard me correctly. Because when I was younger, I just wanted the PS2 demo discs, and my parents never worried about anything that bad being in the magazines because it was video games. So if I ever wanted the next demo to play, I just picked up the magazine, put it in the shopping cart without looking at the pages, and then they would pay for it, no problem. However, the absolute lowest of the lows this magazine would reach was with the ending page segment called Rate Your Mate, a column dedicated to women only, very important, being tempted into sending risque pictures of themselves for the promise of a random prize for their boyfriend, which the magazine would then review and then rate out of 10. What? What is this? Onision magazine? I mean, look, as long as everyone involved is consenting adults, I don't care that this stuff exists, but come on, guys. There's a time and a place to whack it out, and while you're reading about Jack and Daxter isn't the time. This is a PS2 magazine with this in it. Do I even need to explain how many levels of wrong this is? Here's a quote from the boyfriend. I just hope that she's gonna win at least